I met this guy, let's call him Mark, at a packed bar one summer night. I was out with some buddies, just unwinding, when we ended up catching the same baseball game on the TV above the bar. I don't remember who started the conversation, but we clicked fast. Talked sports, shared a couple laughs, the usual. I was separated from my group by then, and Mark didn't really speak to any of my friends. Before I left to find them, we swapped Instagram handles. He seemed a chill, normal guy, decent following, posts of him traveling, drinking, hiking. Nothing out of the ordinary. Honestly, when two dudes exchange socials at a bar, you rarely talk again. But the next night, I was out again for my friend Tyler's birthday at this outdoor bar by the water. I posted a story on Instagram, just a short clip of us singing. An hour later, someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was Mark. He gave me a grin, dabbed me up, and said this was one of his favorite spots. I didn't even know he was from around here. I reintroduced him to my friends, though technically they hadn't really spoken to him the night before. He stuck around. Everyone was a little tipsy anyway, so it didn't feel weird yet. About a week later, he asked if I wanted to play golf. Just him and me. My usual crew passed. They were too hungover to swing a club on a Sunday morning. I wasn't good, but I wanted to get better. 9 holes, 2 hours, solid weather. We grabbed food after. Still seemed like a regular dude. A few more random encounters later, he brought up a hiking trip Arizona. Said he'd booked a rental and had space. The Grand Canyon had been on my list for years. I checked with work, got the time off, and said yes. None of my friends were able to join. He said he was going solo anyway. I should have thought more about that. He never once mentioned having any close friends. Not online, not in person. We landed late. Rented a car. Picked up snacks and beer. By the time we got to the Airbnb, it was after midnight. That's when I realized there was only one bed. I asked about it, and he just motioned to the couch I was sitting on. Said it was a pullout. Don't worry about it, he added. I'm not even charging you for the place. I figured, free trip, comfy enough couch, why complain? Sometime around 3 a.m., I woke up. Just the sound of the floor creaking, soft but sharp enough to pull me from sleep. I saw him walking to the kitchen for water. I turned over and went back to sleep. The next day, we hit the Grand Canyon Bright Angel Trail. Beautiful. Exhausting. I was drenched in sweat while Mark looked like he'd just started. Still, we took amazing photos and shared a few laughs. That night, we bar hopped around Phoenix. I got drunker than I expected, and by the time we stumbled then gave up and left. This time, I locked the door. A couple hours later, I woke up again. I knew I wasn't dreaming. I could feel that prickle on your neck when someone's watching you. He was standing at the foot of the bed. The only thing visible was his outline in the faint glow from the hallway. He stepped forward, sat on the edge of the bed. Then he reached out his hand wrapped around my foot. I screamed, He didn't flinch. I shoved him off the bed with all I had, forced him out the door, slammed it shut, and locked it. This time, I didn't wait. I packed everything. Toothbrush, charger, socks shoved into my bag without care. I stepped out and there he was, sitting upright on the couch. Watching. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. I called an Uber to the airport. I left while it was still dark. He didn't follow. Didn't try to stop me. At the airport, I couldn't sleep. I just sat there, heart pounding, wondering what the hell had just happened. I paid extra to switch seats just so I wouldn't be anywhere near him. When I finally told my friends, some of them admitted they always thought something was off. I did some digging, found one of the guys in Mark's older photos and messaged him. His response? "Bro's a psycho. Get far away." He told me he and others had their own creepy run-ins with Mark. None of them speak to him anymore. I blocked everything. Phone, Instagram, gone. I still don't know what he wanted with my phone, or what he was planning that night, but I'll never forget the way he looked, still and watching. Last July, I came home from college to take a short break before the fall semester. Just some time to breathe. My name's Kylie, live in Maryland, and during those first few days back, I kept thinking about reconnecting with my two closest friends from high school, Jason and Marcus. We're all scattered at different universities now, so catching up in person felt rare. After some back and forth, we planned a weekend getaway to Ocean City. Jason's family owned a little beach house near the coast. Nothing fancy, just 2 bedrooms and a few blocks from the water. But to us, it felt like freedom. We drove down on a Friday. It was hot. Thick, sticky air clung to our skin, and the scent of sunscreen and ocean salt hit us the moment we entered town. Classic summer chaos, families dragging coolers, kids chasing seagulls, and lifeguards constantly barking orders at tourists drifting into restricted waters. That night, we grilled on the patio, played drinking games, and drank way more than we planned. Sometime after midnight, when the buzz had kicked in and boredom crept in, Marcus tossed out the idea, "Why don't we go down to the beach? Something about the ocean at night pulls you in. The world's quieter, the breeze shifts. It's almost spiritual but also eerie in a way you can't explain." We didn't pack much, just our phones, hoodies, and an old flashlight Jason found in the kitchen drawer. We weren't there to swim, just a late-night stroll, maybe sit in the sand. The streets were still and dimly lit as we made our way toward the shore. The boardwalk groaned beneath our feet as we descended to the beach, where we were met with an almost total silence, just the rhythmic crashing of waves and a sliver of moon behind a drifting veil of clouds. We wandered close to the tide, letting the frigid water lap at our ankles, and joked about dumb stuff. Then, near one of the lifeguard towers, we collapsed into the sand and stared up at the sky, the 3 of us just existing. That's when Jason sat up and squinted. "Someone walking over there?" We followed his gaze. At first, I saw nothing but darkness, but then a faint figure emerged pacing the shoreline, a blurry shadow about 50 yards out. We figured, okay, it's probably just another night owl. No big deal. But the longer we watched, the more unnatural it felt. The way this person walked, it was wrong. Stiff, too controlled, like they weren't moving with muscles but gears. Their arms hung oddly. No swing, no motion. And their head tilted just slightly down, like they were reading the ground as they went. We stopped talking and just stared, uneasy. Marcus muttered, "Maybe they're looking for something." Jason chuckled, "Probably dropped their phone or something." We laughed, but that tension in my gut wouldn't go away. Something was wrong. Minutes passed. The figure stopped, dead still. And they were closer now, half the distance from before. That's when it shifted. Marcus whispered, "Why are they just standing there?" Jason leaned forward slowly. "He's not just standing," he said. "He's staring at you, Kyle." My stomach turned. I forced a nervous laugh. "Come on, man, he's just looking down." Jason didn't blink. No, his head is turned toward you. Then, without warning, he clicked on the flashlight and aimed it at the figure. The beam caught the stranger for barely a second before the flashlight fizzled out, but it was enough. I wish it hadn't worked. What we saw in that brief flash burned into my memory. A man bare-chested, his skin almost gray. His soaked jeans clung to his legs. His head was tilted unnaturally, not broken, just wrong. His arms dangled, limp. And his eyes wide, unblinking, bulging. And then he moved. Not slowly, not like a person. He launched at us from 0 to a full sprint in less than a second. A blur, charging straight at us like an animal that had finally chosen its prey. We screamed and ran. I don't remember breathing, I just remember running. The wet sand slowed my legs. I heard Marcus behind me shouting, "Go! Go!" My chest was on fire, but we didn't stop until we hit the boardwalk stairs. When we turned around, he was gone. The beach behind us was quiet. Waves rolled in and out. No footprints. Just empty sand. We didn't talk much walking back. Just kept glancing behind us like shadows might reach out from the dunes. When we got inside the house, we locked everything. Doors, windows, blinds, and sat in silence until the sun came up. No one slept. The next morning, we tried to laugh it off. Joked that maybe it was just some crazy dude off his meds. But we all knew. That thing we saw wasn't right. No person moves like that. No person disappears like that. We stayed one more night, but none of us stepped outside. We left early the next morning. Weeks passed. Life moved on mostly. Until Jason texted me one night. He said he'd been having just outlines. 3 shadowy shapes frozen in place. I turned back to check again. Still watching. Same posture. Trying to lighten the mood, I grabbed the megaphone from the boat's console and joked, "$20 to watch, boys." Emerson didn't laugh. That's when it happened. One of them laughed, but not like a normal laugh. It was slow, crackly, like something scraping through gravel. It sounded wrong, like something pretending to sound human. I felt the hairs on my arms rise. Emerson stood up. "We need to go. Now." I brushed it off again, half smiling, telling him to relax. And then 2 splashes. Loud and sudden. Right where the boat was. We looked. Only one figure remained on deck. Emerson didn't wait. He grabbed the anchor chain and started yanking it up. I was still sitting there, uselessly sipping my beer, watching him scramble. That's when I heard it splashing, really close. I froze. Emerson looked at me, breathing hard, anchored halfway up, eyes wide. "Do you hear that?" We both did. Then silence. "Hello," I called into the dark water. Nothing, and then chaos. Emerson shouted, "Yo," just as something smacked the side of the boat behind me. I turned and my blood went cold. A pale, dripping hand clutched the back railing. Someone was climbing aboard. I lunged for the key and cranked the engine while Emerson held the anchor like a weapon. I saw another hand rise near him, another one trying to get on. I didn't think I just slammed the throttle. The boat jolted forward, slamming into a shallow sandbar with a horrible crunch. I threw it in reverse and backed us out into deeper water at full speed. We didn't speak until we were clear. Then Emerson started swearing, calling me a dumbass, and honestly, I couldn't argue. He was right. I'd laughed at what we should have run from. We agreed to head back. We should have gone straight to the docks. But for some idiotic reason, we stayed in the open, trying to gather the stuff that had been knocked around during the escape. That's when I saw it. Headlights. Boat lights. Racing toward us from the direction we'd just come. I said, "No freaking way," and jumped behind the wheel. The engine groaned, but I floored it. Our boat wasn't built for speed, and they were closing in. Emerson lost it, shouting, "Who are they? What do they want?" I didn't answer. I just kept pushing the engine, aiming for the docks. After a few minutes, I could see them ahead, but so could our pursuers. I could feel their boat bouncing over the waves, drawing closer, the hull slapping the water like thunder. Desperate, I veered hard left, skimming as close to shore as I dared. I thought we were about to go to the beach when suddenly, their boat turned the opposite way. They were gone. We didn't stop. We gunned it to the docks, tied up, and exhaled only when our feet were back on land. The boat had somehow avoided damage, but that didn't matter. We met up with the rest of our group and told them everything. Theories flew. Pirates, thieves, locals playing some twisted prank. But none of it added up. I've thought about that night more times than I care to admit. I still don't know who or what was on that boat. But I do know this. If Emerson hadn't been there, if I had stayed laughing, they might have gotten on board. And I might not be telling you this story right now. That was another true story. If you're still watching, you're one of the brave ones. Most don't make it this far. Subscribe to Horror Stories and hit the bell because the next horror stories drop soon. Stay scared. Stay safe. We'll see you in the dark.